We are delighted that you're joining us for another podcast of Wake Up Aligned, and it is the podcast for chiropractors, where we get to talk about chiropractic lifestyle, and topics of interest. You can contact us through our email, and that is mailbag@amcfamily.com.
Welcome back to another episode of Wake Up Aligned. I am excited to share with you. We've got Dr. Greg Miller back in the studio with me today. And if you haven't tuned in to the last couple of shows that Dr. Greg and I have had, I've encouraged you to go back in the queue and find it. You're going to find that Dr. Greg and I have a good chemistry. We feed off each other a lot, and I'm excited to see where this show goes today, Dr. Greg.
Yeah, it's been fun. This will be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So those of you are wondering where Dr. McMurtry is, he is on vacation with his family as we speak. So hoping he's having a good time. And,
he better be.
Yeah, he better be. He better have twice as much fun. Enough for all of us, right? So no, but we're thrilled to give him a break, and he brings so much to not just obviously this show, the podcast, but just in general. Dr. McMurtry is a warrior for chiropractors, and he has a heart that really burns for chiropractic, and we love him. He wears a lot of different hats.
Yes,
That's a good way to say it, right? And he always steps up to the plate. So today I'm going to say really good things about him. All right. So I'm going to do something different. The old saying I grew up with is dare to be different. So today I say good things about Dr. McMurtry, but no, he's one of my dearest friends. So
great.
Dr. Greg, we were talking as we were getting ready for this show a few minutes ago about creating the proper culture in a practice. And, when you create that culture, you change the result.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And a lot of people go, well, what do you mean by changing the culture? Well, if you change the expectation, if you change the principles that are at play, you change the protocols, the system, you change the mindset, you change the leadership, you change the communication, all of that creates a culture. And, for example, when you start changing the culture from a losing culture to a winning culture, when you start changing the culture from a pain model to a wellness model, right? When you change it, you become the go-to doctor in the community. These are what I'm talking about by changing the culture. The results will speak for themselves. We were talking off camera. I'm so used to being in front of the camera as well. Can't ever remember if I'm on a podcast or I'm on a video blog or what. But anyway, we were talking before the show. Just think about the culture Jeremiah Bursch has created over the years.
Yeah.
Right. And now, obviously, Dr. Bursch and I go way back, and he and there's very particular moments that I can remember that were crossroads in his life. And that one of them happened in Minneapolis, where he and I had a knee-to-knee discussion. But his concept of practice, his concept of the culture within the practice changed that day. And now he's reaping the rewards, for just another year. He had another record year. I know we're well into the new year, but when he was wrapping up 2022, I think the stat was that he grew another 56,000, thereabouts, 55, 60, somewhere in that ballpark, over the year prior. And he collected close to $800,000.
Yeah.
But it changed from the culture, and that's what I wanted to talk about.
Didn't he just? I think he had some major upheaval in his practice during that year too, didn't he? He had a switch in staff, and a lot of there was just a lot of crazy things.
Well, when you create
he just stayed steady,
right,
man.
When you create that winning culture, because you can go back a few years back. He had the Widowmaker, heart issue, right. So he's created
drove himself to the hospital. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then you've got the other folks that they have the culture from the beginning. So Dr. Bursch had that transformational moment, right? But then you got the ones that are launching right out of the gates, right? Like the Hernandezes. I know they finished was it their first or their second year? Trying to think.
At least their second.
At least their second, yeah. Right? Yeah, maybe going into their third. Time gets away from me, folks. You just have to understand. But they collected over $600,000 in their practice, and they're only 2-3 years into practice, right? And that's just unheard of for a lot of people out there. They don't conceive and understand that. But that all starts with creating the proper culture.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that today.
Well,
what do you say?
Can I have a shout out too?
Oh, if you have to.
I want to.
Don't take the steam out of the whistle.
No, I want to, because he's going to be part of my conversation on culture.
Okay.
Dr. Cody Masick.
Yes.
Out in California, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
he's just as basically LA as you can get.
It works in California?
It works in California.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Oh my goodness.
The thing about
We're
him,
onto something here.
I know, it's crazy. When I started working with him, of course, now here's the truth. He's a Midwest boy originally. He's a Wisconsin native, transplanted himself out there because he doesn't like snow, which I guess I did the same thing. So, but the thing that has impressed me about Dr. Masick is he was in a practice years ago, a couple of decades ago, that was a very, very busy practice. And ever since his practice has slid away from that, and it's gotten smaller and smaller, he's recognized there's what do we talk about? When you expand the concepts, it never goes back, right? And so in his innate, he knows he's supposed to be seeing more patients, and he knows how to do it as far as see that kind of a volume. But the practice that he has and the protocols that he's been following are just they're not accomplishing that for him in any way, shape, or form. And he found us, he found Aligned. And I've never, in all the years that I've been coaching, and I've coached a few folks. I mean, you list those people off, I'm going, I was their first coach. I remember those folks that are doing so well and have seen such growth. But Dr. Masick, I've never seen somebody pour themselves into the online library, our digital library, like he has. He has absolutely vacuumed his way through that, and it has done so much for him. I remember back in the day, right, when I came to AMC, then back in the day, it was once a month.
Yeah,
you got a box, and it was cassettes. Some of the docs on here may not even know what that is.
It goes back a ways.
It goes back a ways. And you just waited for those cassettes to show up so you could start on the next series. And, you guys had it all, exactly what you were going to send. I actually laid eyes on that the other day, what the schedule was. Mm-hmm. And you did a pretty good job with that. I'd have to say it was.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. But what we've seen over the last several years, decade or so, is that it's accessible online, right? Mm-hmm. So there's an example of a culture change. We were desperately waiting for those cassettes. How many made up mind cassettes did I order a replacement of over the years because it just wear it out? Well, now it's available online. All you got to do is get the app on your phone and boom, you're there. And I think that part of the culture has diminished. Unfortunately, we are not seeing the engagement with that material like we should be. So that's another conversation, perhaps that's
a great conversation to have.
It really is,
because that's that convenience, and convenience leads to laziness.
Yeah.
Complacency.
Yeah.
Right. And conviction, those are both words that start with C. Complacency and conviction are both going to give you a different result. And yeah, you're onto something there, because when it becomes so easy,
it's too easy.
There's no urgency. There's no priority. It might not be the way you want to go with this, but when I think of complacency and comfortable, I think of the doctors that come on board And when they come on board, they come on board with an urgency. Mm-hmm. Sometimes these doctors are in a position, something's got to happen. And that's that drive that they're willing to do something that's uncomfortable. They're willing to get on a plane and come to these meetings, and they're willing to do this. But once the growth takes place, right, and they get to this comfort level, you've coached for a long time, right? That there's a complacency that comes on. Oh, it's not as urgent, and you're like, but you haven't accomplished anything yet, right? You're just scratching the egg, the outside of the eggshell here, and there has to be a drive, right?
Yeah.
So I know this is a part of culture.
Oh, absolutely, it's another C.
Culture is you've got to find out what your why is. Listen to me, folks. If you can get that this week, if we don't cover anything else today, but to get your why are you doing this? Why are you going to practice? Why? What's your why behind all of it? Because your why has to be big enough to overcome the resistance or the distractions, and complacency is a distraction. And the ease of the online library being there for you so conveniently, if you don't have a big enough why, it's just going to become, well, it's there, I'll get around to it, right? Mm-hmm. You're talking about 20-something years ago, 25, 30 years ago, when we would give you the cassettes. We also used to hand out at your very first meeting. You remember the little wooden nickel looking thing?
Oh, yeah.
And it was a little wooden nickel, and it just had written on it, round to it. Or no, it just said to it. And everybody go, what in the world's that? In my very first class with you, Greg, I'd say, well, I know you're going to tell me I'll do this, Tom, when I get around to it. So I'm going to go ahead and give you one. And that way we just get past that.
Yep.
Because we're here. What are we here for? So I know we want to get to culture, but this is a great part of the culture. What and why are we doing what we're doing? Are we here to just get by? Are we here for mediocrity? What are you striving for? What's your why? And your why has to be bigger than the resistance. And you think resistance comes in the form of a fight. You think resistance comes in the form of a storm. No, sometimes the storm is just the complacency of comfort, of getting by. The why and the urgency has to remain strong for you to excel to levels that you can't understand. That's the way that look, Joe Charbonneau used to teach. Joe Charbonneau, definitely one of my mentors, right? And he spoke in truths. Just remember, and I don't have time to teach this on the podcast, but he broke it down that there's 60%ers in life, right? There's the 27%ers in life. That makes up 87%. 60% are the people that are just getting by. They're waiting for their ship to come in. 27%ers are like, it doesn't matter what you do. They're always going to have the negative, critical framework, that they're the victims. Regardless, 87% of the population can't even think on the level of leadership. And then there was 10% that had leadership qualities, and only 3% were visionaries, right? Mm-hmm. That means 87% of the people that are listening today are stuck in that sub-level of mediocrity. And I'm telling you, what makes good leadership? What casts big visions? Whys. Mm-hmm. Creating a culture of something bigger than yourself. It's not about comfort. It's not about getting by. It's not about mediocrity. It's about the legacy that you're going to leave. And you're not going to leave a legacy of any kind worthwhile if you're not figuring out what that why is. So I know I probably just took you a different direction, but that was my innate just singing.
Yeah.
Because that's what creating a culture. What are you doing there?
Yeah. Make no mistake. What the doctors, listen up. If you haven't listened to anything I've said, listen to this. What you have in your hands to offer your patients, and not only the ones that are sitting in front of you in your office, but the ones that are destined to be in your office. What you have to offer them, there is no equal to it. There is absolutely no equal in healthcare. And actually, we belong in healthcare. The rest of it, I don't even know what that is. I guess that's sick care. But doctors, you deserve the title of doctor. You deserve the title of chiropractor. And your patients deserve the gift that you have in your hands. And I'm speaking to that as a brother chiropractor who is currently unable to deliver that care. I can't do that anymore. And look, that's not the point of this call or this this podcast. But being able to detect a subluxation, correct a subluxation, and watch that patient return to the person they were before they walked into your office is a gift that very, very few on this planet get to deliver. So do not kid yourself. This complacency nonsense, this lack of willingness to step out and go get in front of people, because you have to get out. People have to recognize who you are. If you're a Right Star doctor, I'm working with a doc now that's just in a crazy situation, and he is got to get his practice open, and it's just amazing to me, the excuses that are coming out of him to not get out in front of people. He has the best gift, right? God has blessed him with the ability to deliver chiropractic care. Very few people get to do that. And he's scoffing at it. I don't want to be in that conversation at the pearly gates when I ignored the gift that I was given, the blessing that is. Okay, that's a direction I didn't know we were going to go today. But you, doctor, have a tremendous responsibility, not just the gift, but you have a responsibility to deliver that. And I firmly believe, without a doubt, that your relationship with Aligned and AMC is absolutely part of the blessing that you have in that, because you're going to learn and know ways to create that culture in your practice, ways to get that message to your patients in ways that perhaps you don't even fully understand yet. You definitely don't fully understand yet.
And it's not about a procedure. It's not about a shiny object. It's not about marketing. It's not about. It is somewhat about the proper mindset of the model that you're following.
Sure.
You keep hey, look, stay on that pain model. Just keep chasing that one. See how far that gets you, right? But the pain model is not a really big why, is it?
No.
Back to the why.
Can do that.
Why are we? Anybody can do that. Yeah. Stop trying to fit in and start standing out.
I like that. I hadn't thought about that for a while.
Create the culture of being the go-to doctor. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So, anyway, deep stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. But let's kind of steer it back to the culture a little bit. So, when we were texting yesterday and talking about that, my thoughts immediately go to, look, I've, along with Dr. Brubaker, he and I have done a lot of office evaluations over the years. We've seen a lot of offices come to AMC, and if he was in here, we could tell you stories about things that we have seen where people have tried to, and I think that maybe their intent was somewhat valid. They were trying to be unique, but at the same time, they weren't creating the right kind of culture in their practice. Tom, I don't know if you remember this. It's probably, I don't know, 2007 or 8, but we had a practice in, I think it was Iowa. I don't remember for sure, but this doctor had a tiki bar in their waiting room, and they literally had a sand area over in the corner, and they had the tiki bar, and they had Margarita Mondays. Folks, if he was on the camera, the face that you would be saying right now is unique. That was a culture that she was trying to create in her office, and not the right one, not what we're looking to do. But we can laugh at that. But doctors, I'm talking to some of you here when we see the video of your office and we walk in that front door with you and you're FaceTiming us or you're showing us and we see pillows and ice packs and nutrition and the latest thing that you have available that you for your patients that you've put in the waiting room, that's an issue with your culture because it's the minute. Oh gosh, I could go down another.
Go ahead. This is good. The patient's innate, because guess what? You're not the only one that has an innate, right? Your patient has an innate. And Dr. Owen taught us that a patient is very, very often, it's been at least 2 years that they've been thinking about coming to a chiropractor. Am I remembering that right? Well, you're giving Dr. Owen credit for that.
That's you?
That was me.
Okay.
Well, I've done a few things over my 30 years, but it's okay. But it's true. It takes them up to 2 years to even decide to try chiropractic.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, man. You're on it right here because their innate is wide open.
Yeah.
When they're coming to a chiropractor for the very first time. And don't forget the stat, folks. The vast majority of them aren't coming back to chiropractors. The vast majority are trying chiropractic for the first time. And they try chiropractic. They don't try chiropractors. Right? They'll have a bad experience with an MD. They'll go to another MD. They'll own down the line. They don't do that with chiropractic. They come in and they're trying chiropractic. So you should care about what the guy down the street or the lady in the town over is doing.
Yeah.
Because it's representing the same thing. And there's 90% of the population has never been to a chiropractor. So yes, their innate is wide open. What is this about? And then they walk into a reception room and they're land blasted. Their vision, their innate is boom, intake. Joe Charbonneau used to talk about 10,000. The human brain can process 10,000 images per second. So it's taking it in, whether you think they're taking it in or not. And what are they there for? A reception room should not be full of pillows and weight loss and
anything to sell.
Anything. It shouldn't even be full of chiropractic.
No.
Right? You shouldn't have the giant full skeleton standing over, because we've seen that over the years where they walk in and George, old Uncle George is standing up there in the corner, a full skeleton.
Oh,
you shouldn't be selling chiropractic posters.
Nope.
That is not the place. First of all, are we going to set a culture to sell?
No.
Because when you do that, right off the bat, the innate of the patient is already on defense.
They've already made a decision.
This is good stuff, folks. Write this down. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense mechanisms go up. And when they walk right in, the very first thing they're seeing is sales. They're going to sell me something here. So they're already on defense before you even get a shot at doing a consultation, exam, whatever your processes are in your office.
And I think you'd agree, Tom, a large percentage of those you've already lost because that initial response is not leaving them. Mm-hmm. And you've got yourself an uphill battle to bring them back in if you are even ever able to do that. Because, they got to like us, they got to respect and value, and you just destroyed that.
You and I are sitting here thinking, from an AMC Align standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. We're still the only company out there that's willing to put our money where our mouth is and say, if you don't grow, you don't know, right?
Sure.
We must feel pretty confident or comfortable with that, or we wouldn't be in business for 28 years. But to think that we've got to, if we're going to, however we get the new patients to come in, right? Whether they're referrals, spinal screenings, or what, my objective is never try to teach anybody on this show or in the AMC family to get to convert 10 out of 10 people. You're not going to be the answer to everybody, right?
For sure.
But when you create the culture, you create your location, your marketplace, all of those things are components that you should be able to follow a pattern, a predictable living by the principles, put those principles in place. You and I should be able to be confident month in, month out, what my business is going to produce by converting about 8 to 9 out of every 10 that walk in the door. What you just said, see, you could sit there and just master. You could talk about some of your favorite doctors you're working with, right? You can be here in Jacksonville mentoring or coaching that doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Matzik. Then you mentioned
Dr.
him,
Cody,
right? Mm-hmm. He's in California. You're in Florida. You're seeing that. You're working with him. You see him at summits. Mm-hmm. You're working through the procedures and the protocols, right? He's getting better and better. He's digesting all of it. But you could be sitting here in Florida and be blind to the fact that he has a cotton candy machine in his front reception room and he's selling weight loss or doing, you don't know, because you don't know we're all actors on the stage of life, and you don't want to know what his stage looks like. And you're sitting there on this end going, I don't understand why the closing ratio can't get above 50%. He's at 4 or 5 out of every 10. And the closing ratio, and all along, it could be the environment, mm-hmm. right? Because the people are feeding off of what the environment is. So, yeah, you're on some golden stuff here when you talk about this, and it hits the bottom line. Don't tell me it's not important, because it's like that old jigsaw puzzle. Get a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and 900 and something are all put together, but you jacked up and lost the other 5, the missing 5 pieces. You're fighting uphill, and this what I'm sharing here all came off of what you said, that you've lost them before they even got back to the mm-hmm. consultation room. Their innate was wide open, and now they're on defense.
It's absolutely true. And because you don't know what that thing is going to be that steers them sideways. And we just don't want it to be there. We want to make sure that we have closed the gate, right, on every possible thing that could send a patient sideways, so we don't get the opportunity to do that consultation. Look, we talk about our CER, and we talk about a consultation and reports and all of that stuff. We talk about how the consultation is the most important one, because if you don't do it right, you never get a chance to do the rest of them. So because of that, it becomes the most important one. So you go one step before that, you got to, the parking lot. Right? How many times have we talked about what does your parking lot look like? Are there dead things out there in front of the office, or are there things that are alive? Of course, if you're in Minnesota in the winter, yeah, but you have to do everything that you can do. You have to leave no stone unturned to make sure that culture leads itself toward the success that patient can experience.
The average doctor comes in their back door and they don't even walk in the front door. They don't even know what the patients are experiencing, seeing, because they go in and out, and that's their life. Yeah. They're in and out. They come in, they leave. They come in for lunch, they leave for lunch. They come in, they leave. But they don't understand that new patient is experiencing this every time they come in here. And I thought we started this show off talking about, do we want to become the go-to doctor, or do we want to be the sideshow, right? Do we want them to come 6 visits, or do we want to create lifetime chiropractic patients? They're going to come to places that they like and that they respect and value. And if the culture, what is the culture that you're creating when you're talking about those attributes out? Like your parking stripes in your parking lot. If they can't even, it looks antiquated. It looks out of date. It looks untouched. If there's weeds or garbage in the flower beds, they walk up and they're being sold by things that are in your window before they even come in. It doesn't feel professional, right? If you're going to do $5,000 care plans, which I think chiropractic is worth that, and a whole lot
goodness
more,
sakes, yes.
A lot more.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, and it looks like you hadn't spent $200 on your entrance in the last 10 years, or they walk into a consultation room and it's so disorganized and the doctor can't see the top of their desk, why would they ever think that this person's on top of their game and they're the go-to doctor in the community? What is the culture saying to the patient's innate? So it starts with the culture of your leadership, what you're bringing to the office. What are you saying and providing to your staff? Because the staff's probably more important than the doctor, right? So that's why CA coaching is worth 5 times what they charge. Those CA coaches are worth their weight in gold.
Stars, yeah.
They're rock stars. What does that create for you? What does that take off of? That helps create the component of a teamwork, leadership, value, a valuable commodity. That's what CA coaching does for you. If you're listening and you're not a CA coaching member, you're nuts. You're literally nuts. I would never operate an office. None of my offices will ever operate without that CA coaching component, because I've got enough on my plate. If I could have some assistance in providing and creating a culture of teamwork, unity, visionary, yeah, I'll take that in 2 on the side, please. Right?
I love that. How about we have a culture where the doctor is focused on only the things that the doctor can do? I mean, I was talking about my passion for locating a subluxation. If I've got a doc who is feeling like he has to micromanage everything that his staff is doing, and he's got all these bills sitting on his desk, and everything is taking his focus off of looking at that x-ray and looking at that patient and delivering the very best that he can for them, that's a culture in itself.
That's a culture of mediocrity.
Exactly what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very stagnant. It's going to be disorganized, disarrayed, and it's going to give you a mediocre result. I know I've said in past shows, high expectations equal high results. Medium expectations equal low results. Low expectations equal no results.
Fat zero.
That's a great culture. Yeah. What kind of expectation are you carrying to the culture? What are you saying? What's your office layout saying? What's your office decor saying? What's your staff saying? What's the look of your staff? What's the dialogue of your staff? What's the communication of your staff? What's what are you saying? What's your dress saying? What's your marketing saying? How about that? Your marketing is going to sometimes produce the type of patient that you may or may not really be wanting. What's your messaging to your community saying? All of this creates a culture. It all comes together to create that one word culture.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I'm going to get myself in trouble with this, but I can't help but think of the doc. You do everything right, quote unquote, right. And then the first time the patient sees you, you're wearing scrubs and flip-flops, right? You talked a little bit about the dress, but every single piece of this in creating that culture is just beyond important. But here's the thing, as I'm sitting here and we're engaging in this, there's really nothing in that the doctor can't absolutely control from day one, and control it in a way that is positive and gets the result that they're looking for. But they can quickly get it out of control at the same time. So, I'll
wrap this up with creating a culture of structure. Right? When you're shooting from the hip, or you're doing one of these, there is no system, there are no protocols, and it's like the old volume deals, right? My good friend, Dr. Dan Yachter, his whole life has turned away from that chaos. What kind of culture did he have, right? The outside, Dr. Dan, he's going to love chiropractic. He's going to be a passionate chiropractor no matter how he does it, how he conducts himself. But what was the culture in that office? It was a culture of chaos and burnout, and he was wearing down, right? The volume play of no structure, no protocols, just get them in, and they were coming in at a high volume and going out at a high volume, and that'll wear you out because, it's like we quote my dad a lot, but Dad always said and Dad was a pilot also, if you didn't know that, right? For those listeners out there, he was a pilot. He'd say, son, he says, there's bold pilots and there's old pilots, but there are no old, bold pilots. He says, and son, when it comes to chiropractic practicing, and that was the early days of teaching me how to operate a large number of clinics. How do you manage that? He'd say, son, he goes, there's old practitioners and there's volume practitioners, but there are no old volume practitioners.
Wow. What a great,
right?
Yeah.
It's not about the number that you're seeing. It's going to, that chaos is a culture kill. I mean, it's a cancer. It'll burn the chiropractor out so don't forget that sometimes the culture is just good, proper structure.
Yeah.
Right. What are you saying? What are you saying to the community? What are you saying to your team? What are you saying to yourself?
I think, I don't do this normally, but I just want to speak to the doctors that are listening. If this culture thing, this is quite a conversation we had today. I can't believe we're out of time already. I mean, I guess I can, but if this is resonating with you, if you sense that that's missing, just come and join us at a summit. You're not going to be in a practice, but you are going to sense a culture there that is different than anything you've ever experienced before coming to a gathering like this. We're going to love on you. You're going to be instantly able to understand what the AMC family really is, the Aligned family really is all about. We will greet you with open arms, no matter what decision you make. But if this conversation on culture resonates with you and your innate is pinging right now, reach out to us, get to our next summit, and just expose yourself to an opportunity that may be out there that you've been missing, because we want to help. We want to be a part of that for you.
Today's episode ended up going in a direction I didn't see it going
either.
But, you just mentioned, the culture inside of practice, what's your identity? Well, the culture of the AMC Aligned family is unlike anything else out there. And you just spoke to the doctors that are out there that maybe are listening and they're not AMC Aligned members, and they're not aware. But you know what, listeners, those of you that are members,
yeah, for sure,
you do know the culture. You do know what's waiting for them. You do know that mine and Dr. Greg's hearts and every other blue coat, we burn passionately, and we're there for the chiropractor. We're not there. We're there to help any and every chiropractor in any position, any need, whether they're on the bottom or they're at the top and they're plateaued. Regardless, the resources are in the same place. And we have a culture that these people can trust. So I'm talking to the listeners. What in the world are you waiting on? I mean, what else do I have to do or say to let you understand we have a culture unlike anything else out there? Why are you not stopping this episode, pressing pause, and calling the very doctor that's on your mind right now? You're thinking of somebody right now. Get off this show and contact them and get them to a summit with you. Doesn't cost them a dime to get, to be a part, to come visit and enjoy that. I mean, they're going to get something whether they come on board or not, but they've got to be exposed to that culture before they realize there's something different out there.
So send them a link to this podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we do.
Easy to do. Text it.
This is for chiropractors. We don't do this for the AMC Aligned family alone. This is just for our service to chiropractors. For sure. Dr. Greg, love you, brother, man. I really enjoy our times when we get together and get to share. And man, we went in a different direction today than I was expecting. But listeners, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you can hear our hearts. I think our hearts were on display today. And I think we're just going to wrap it up. Maybe Dr. Shannon will join us again, and maybe one day I'll get out of the way and let you and Shannon.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that.
No, you don't want to talk to Shannon? No, I understand. He's hard to work with. But no, I think you two would actually, you guys have a lot in common. You guys both came on board with AMC. He tries to claim he came in earlier.
He did. Don't tell him I said that, but he did.
Well, you just did.
Well, nah. He probably doesn't listen.
Anyway, but both of you guys have been around here for 25, 24, 25 years.
I think he was 98, late 98, and I was early 99.
I would say a quarter of a century.
Yeah, half of 50. Yeah.
There you go, brother. Hey, listen, everybody, we love you. We appreciate you. And I just hope you have an awesome week. Serve well and keep walking in abundance. You're in chiropractor, getting to get up every day and practice chiropractic. What a blessing. It's a blessing to be a blessing. So serve well, live abundantly, and I'll talk to you next week. God bless.
Follow our show. You can share it with friends, of course. And we'd love for you to contact us at mailbag@amcfamily.com. In addition, you're always invited to attend or join us at a summit. Of course, registration is required. And we would love for you to check out the loads of free content we provide to social media every single week. Until next time.